We are going to conclude this amazing morning and day and a half conference because before you all head off to the site visits. And we will have concluding thoughts and remarks from the three organizations. And we are going to start with the City of Paris, who hosted this conference, with Lamia El Haraj, who is Deputy Mayor of the City of Paris, and she's particularly in charge of urbanism. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm very glad and very honored to close the second day of this conference about towards sustainable urban proximities. And I think that everyone here is very happy to participate to this special event to share our practices all over the world and in all our cities. And to think about how we can develop our cities in the next years and how we can affront this big challenge for us is the climate change. Thank you so much for all participants, moderators, and intervenants, all the speakers. And I would like to extend my warmest thanks to UN Habitat, UCLG, ETI Chair, and Sorbonne University. And a special thing for my dear friend Carlos Moreno for all that we work about together for the last years and what we developed together for Paris and for the next generations. And I will talk about particularly. I think that these 2 days have been very fruitful because they permit us to develop our shares and our methods to work together between committed actors, how we can think the future of our cities. And in Paris, we have made this choice many years ago to have the 15-hour cities. What does it mean exactly? When you tell that, you think that this is a concept, this is a big theory. But in real life, when you live in Paris, when you live in this very beautiful city, with all objectivity that I can have, you really know what is these 15-hour cities. It means that you have, in a 15-hour, in your very near proximity of where you live, all the ways that you need to be good in this city. Works, shops, schools, gardens, and all have a drink, you can go outside with friends, and you don't need to go very far of where you live. This is a reality, and in the president's campaign, municipal campaign, we worked with Carlos on this concept, and it really means that we are making now a city for people and not a city for tourists or economy or this is the all-day life of all Parisians. And these 2 days made us able to showcase the last researchers about these all concepts. And I think that another big challenge for us and how we can adapt our cities to the climate change, how we can make it sustainable and how we can make people live in our cities. You know, in Paris, in the next 25 years, we will have the same climate in Paris than in Seville in Spain. This is our reality, and we show that in the President's summer with the very big heat waves and several one. And the city in summer now, Paris in summer, is absolutely horrible because of these heat waves. And we have tropical nights in Paris. I don't know if you imagine. It's in Paris like sometimes in, I don't know if you know, Guadeloupe, for example, is a French island very far from here in the Caraïbes. And it's a tropical island. And we have the same temperatures in Paris and maybe sometimes more heat waves, more several than in Guadeloupe. And we think with the mayor, with Anne Hidalgo, how we have to adapt our cities to the climate change. It's not only a choice, it's an obligation, because if we don't do that, we will not be able to live in Paris our future generations, our kids, will not be able to live here. It's not a position about if it's an economical choice, if it's a political choice. No, it's only a survival choice, you know. So we don't have to choose that, adapt our cities to that. So we in Paris, we made the choice to completely change our way of life and our way to think the city. And it was very important for us because 10 years ago, we started to work about the local urban plan. This is the most powerful regulation, local one, that we have to think the city, because it's an obligation for all promoters or architects. If they want to build in Paris, they have to respect this regulation. So we made the choice to have the first bioclimatic local urban plans in Europe, I think. And we started to work on that 10 years ago. We made the choice to co-build it with all the professionals of urban and architectures, with the lawyers, with the economical world. And we adopted last November. And now I think that everyone is maybe not completely happy, but they know that they can still build in Paris, but they have to make it differently. And this is the big difference. I don't know if you have the habit to come in Paris, but if you don't came to Paris last 10 years, I think that you really look the difference 10 years ago. For example, the cycle lines, everyone say it's impossible to make it in Paris. You know, Amsterdam, for example, they have this tradition of cycling. And in Paris, it's impossible. It's a very old city, the capital of France, and we love big cars, you know, specifically men's, but this is another point. And you will not be able, absolutely, to make Paris cyclable. And now I think that everyone in Paris have a cycle. And you have more than hundreds of kilometers of cycle lines. And we made it until the COVID start. Anne told us, I remember that, told us, we will make an experimentation. You know, we love experimentation because it never ends. And this is what happened with the cycle lines. And today, I think that everyone is very happy to see that cycling in Paris is possible in security and completely change our urban spaces. So our local urban plans have 4 pillars, and essential one. The first one is how we can adapt Paris to the climate change. So we made a very ambitious choice, for example, the vegetalization. We have the objective to make 300 hectares of new green spaces in Paris in the next 10 years. It's very, very, very ambitious, but we can make it. And it means concretely that we will make 50% of floors désimperméabilisés, okay? In the next 10 years. It means concretely that now in Paris, you can still build, but differently. What does it mean? It means that, for example, you can destroy a build and rebuild a new one. You have now to rehabilitate. And it's a big change for architects, particularly, because they have to learn to work differently and to make different choices. Another example is that now you have to choose new materials to work in Paris. We want real wood, real stones, and you have to think the building for the next 100 years. It means that, for example, today you have a building, it's for housing, but maybe in 100 years after, it will be for work. So we ask our architects to think the long period of building and not for only now using. And it's a completely change of mind, and we know that it's very difficult, but we make a lot of pedagogy, and we have a special task force in our local teams to work with the professionals and to make it possible for our city. The second pillar is how we can guarantee not public. I like public housing, and I want only public housing in Paris, but it's not completely possible. But a maximum of public housing in Paris and the maximum of housing in Paris. And it was very important for us, particularly in some districts in the west of Paris, because in the east of Paris, the most popular district, you know, we have a lot of public housing. For example, I'm elected in the 20th district of Paris. We have more than 42% of public housing, so it's very ambitious. And now we want to do the same, but in the west. But in the west of Paris, you have a lot of work building. So how we can do that? We made a choice is to identify special buildings for works. And now, if you want, this is in French, le pastillage, you know. The professionals don't like this word because it's very hard for them, but we think that to make political ambition, we have some time to be hard. And we work with them to transform their work building in housing buildings. Not at all, but in a big part, very big part. And this is how we will completely change the city. Because another problem that we have, and I think that Carlos knows that very well, is that in some districts and some neighborhoods, you only have work building and no life. After 6 or 7 p.m., you have no life in these neighborhoods. And for us, it's not acceptable. So we think that by making mixity works, but also citizens live there, also shops, we can keep the spirit of Paris, you know. The third pillars, and we develop, in the second, we develop a new way of making housing, is what we call in French, I don't know the term in English, I'm sorry, the BRS, le bail réel solidaire. Okay, you understand? No, absolutely not. Okay, it means it means that you can buy a house in Paris, but you only pay the right to enter in the house for 100 years, and you don't buy the floor. So it means concretely that you buy for 5,000 euros, 5,000 euros. And in other neighborhoods, it's about 10,000, yeah, and sometimes more, for example, here. But this is another problem. So the third pillar is how we can make the Paris this 15-hour city. And we think a lot about that because you have the reality of what people live. You have the concept that Carlos developed, and how we can make it really concrete. Because another example is about shops. When you look around you, you have special shops in Paris. L'artisanat, le luxe, les petites boutiques, the little shop, you know. And if you let the economic capital make that, you will never have more little shops. So we made the choice in our local urban plan to protect the little shops. What does it mean? It means that we have more than 323 kilometers of local protected shops. Concretely, it means that if you want to buy the shop, I don't know, in a street just here, a little shop, a local one, I don't know, artisanat, for example, and you want to make a big capital shop, I don't know, I don't give example because I know I don't want to have some problems, but you have to ask about an authorization to change the destination of the shop. And we say no. You can't. And this is how we protect this spirit of Paris. The fourth pillar is how we can keep the economic attractivity of Paris. because all the three first pillars, maybe you said, oh, they are very hard and they will have no investors and no economic life in Paris. But we think that we have to conciliate the four pillars. And I think that we are going to have a good issue for that. This is what we see, actually. My conclusion, because they don't tell me how many time I have to talk, I can still talk, no? No, I have to stop. Okay, okay. So, just to say that making our cities sustainable and making them adapting themselves to the climate change, it's not a negative issue, but it needs a lot of political voluntary, and we have to consider it that this is the big challenge for the next 10 years. And it's not only an economic question, it's about our capacity to stay alive in reality in the next years. So we have a lot of things to share together. There is a lot of experimentation that you are making in your cities, your countries. And in Paris, we are still very open to share with you and to make you some visits to discuss about how you can make it possible in our cities and in yours, and to build together. We will be very engaged in this point and very volunteer to still work to still adapt our cities. And the last point, maybe to not forget, is about the universal accessibility, because it's also a part of my delegation. And you have, all of you, to think your cities adapting for all people. And if you are a person with disability, if you are a person with very little kids, if you are older, and our populations are growing up, and particularly here in Paris, we will have more than 25% of our population having more than 65 years in the next 20 years. So this is a challenge too. So my counsel to conclude is when you think urban planning, think too how you can make it more accessible, and accessible for all people, all citizens, because it's a question of equality too. Thank you so much.